All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the County of Los Angeles Citizen Redistricting Commission 14th regular public meeting, followed by the public hearing for communities of interest input Zone E. Today is July 14th, 2021, and the time is 6:36 p.m. We will now call the regular meeting and public hearing to order. As a reminder to the public, this public hearing is being recorded and live streamed to the youtube.com/LA County Redistricting. The link to the recording will also be posted and accessible through the Los Angeles County Redistricting website. If at any time any members of the public has any technical difficulties, please message me, Tai Lei, and we can work towards fixing the issue. If you would like to make a general public comment or a public comment for an agenda item not related to the communities of interest public hearing, you may submit your name to the Q&A with your affiliated organization, if any, and the agenda item you would like to make a public comment on. As a reminder for members of the public interested in making a public comment for the communities of interest public hearing, you may submit your name and information to the Google form available in the chat and on the CRC website. You will be asked on the form to describe your communities of interest. When you are called to make your public comment, you will be prompted to unmute your mic so you can speak, and you may turn on your video if you are comfortable. If you are participating via phone, press *9 to raise your hand. Once called upon, press *6 to unmute and speak. Each person will have one opportunity to speak for 2 minutes. The co-chairs reserve the right to limit public comments to 1 minute per person or extend it to 3 minutes per person, depending on how many would like to speak. When you begin making your comment, please share your name and any affiliation you may have. If you do not wish to speak but would still like to submit a public comment, you may do so by going to the same Google form. Again, you will find the link to the Google form in the chat or on the CRC website. For members of the public who would like to make a public comment on communities of interest and not a resident of Zone E, you may submit your name and affiliated organization in the Q&A. Your name will be called to make a public comment after members of the public who filled in the communities of interest form for Zone E. In defining communities of interest, this can include, but is not limited to, the economic and social interests that bind your community together, why your community should be kept together for fair and effective representation, where your community is located, and what nearby areas you would like your areas to be grouped with or not. I will now take the roll. As a reminder, commissioner names will be called in a rotating alphabetical order by last name. Commissioners, please be prepared to unmute your mic and respond when your name is called. Commissioner Saida Soto.
Present.
Commissioner Brian Stetcher.
Present.
Commissioner John Vento, excused absence. Co-chair Carolyn Williams.
Present.
Commissioner Dorina Wong.
Present.
Commissioner Jean Franklin.
Present.
Commissioner David Holtzman.
Present.
Commissioner Mary Kenny.
Present.
Co-chair Daniel Maeda.
Present.
Commissioner Mark Mendoza.
Present.
Commissioner Apolonio Morales.
Present.
Commissioner Nelson Obregon.
Present.
Commissioner Priscilla Orpanella Segura.
Present.
Commissioner Haile Soto.
Present.
Thank you. I will now turn the agenda over to Co-chair Williams.
Thank you, Ty. Now we're at item number 3, approval of the agenda. I propose, if there are no objections, that we reorder the agenda and move consent items number 5 to after the public hearing. So at this time, we will move to public comments. Ty, do we have any public comments? And these are for matters that are not on the agenda. If you have comments related to communities of interest, we ask that you hold those until we get to the public hearing. Ty, do we have any public comments at this time?
Yes, we do.
Ty, I think we lost your volume.
Sorry about that. Before we begin, we do have one in the queue. But before we begin, I just do want to remind members of the public, if they would like to make a general public comment on any items for the regular meeting, to input their name into the Q&A with any affiliated organization and the agenda item they would like to make a public comment on. So the first one is Barry Johnson, who would like to make a public comment on general public comment on agenda item number 4, who is a participating member of the Studio City Neighborhood Council. Barry Johnson, you will be prompted to unmute yourself by Zoom. You may share your video if you wish and are comfortable to. And once you begin speaking, Barry, your 2 minutes will begin. Okay.
Barry appears to be muted. Barry, can you unmute yourself?
And Barry, I will time you when you begin. Co-chairs, I assume it's a 2-minute time frame for this portion.
Yes. Barry Johnson did indicate his audio is on the phone. So it's possible that he may not be on Zoom and he's just calling in?
Yes. So Barry, I'll go ahead and allow your submitted phone number to talk. So you'll be able to unmute yourself on your phone by pressing *6.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I'm on the phone for my audio. Yes, I just wanted to say those of us in Studio City do not feel well represented on the county level for the last 10 years because districts that go over the Santa Monica Mountains, I feel, and a lot of us here feel, just don't work. I realize each district is roughly 2 million people. I think the Valley is actually reaching that point with some of the surrounding communities within the Valley that aren't actually city of LA. And I think it's time, based on the criteria, even on your own website, in terms of geography, we're in a valley, the San Fernando Valley, that's surrounded by a rim. And this is the time, this 10-year period is the time to let the Valley have its own supervisor for the 2 million people in this Valley. And I hope you will give good consideration to that because we just do not feel we have been served well over the last 10 years. And I think it's hard for a supervisor to serve 2 separate geographic areas. I hope you will consider this request. Thank you.
If I may, just for Barry Johnson's clarification, we're going to be entering that as probably part of the public hearing testimony about the redistricting portion versus part of the business. So this is the time for comments on just general business matters of the board, not testimony regarding where the district should be. But Barry, let me assure you, we will include your comments in our database.
We currently have no other in queue for general public comments.
Thank you, Ty. So at this time, we'll move to item number 6, updates from the ad hoc working group. Co-chair Maeda.
Thank you. So first up is the working group on legislation and other updates on other redistricting commissions, and call upon the lead commissioner there, David Holtzman.
Hello, one and all. There are a bunch of supporting materials for this report listed on the agenda and they're linked on our agendas page. So I'm not going to go through all those. You can see those. But from San Diego County, let me just say that commission got in touch with us today and said that they heard yesterday that the map adoption deadline relief idea is still being discussed among state legislators. So their pre-mapping public hearings have not yet begun. They're going to begin on August 12th. And they may have some in October, which could be a good idea, as it would provide an opportunity for using the official redistricting database for COI input, for instance. they're hoping to resolve many of their scheduling details at their July 29th meeting. That's their next meeting. Their council quote as saying we're actually required to have in-person meetings if we can. And she pointed out that staff are working on setting in-person meetings up. This work group thinks that we should do at least one in each district in person to satisfy the law and avoid the threat of litigation. All right, moving on to Santa Barbara County. They started July 7th having in-person meetings as well as Zoom and hearings. And anyway, just should point out that their mandate for having hearings, how many and when, is different from ours. Another thing which we might consider is offering some mapping tools for residents to use, right away. There's the districtor, and they're offering something called Maptitudes, a little more complex, because it is taking some time for us to get our mapping tools out to members of the public so they can send in their COIs. And at the state level, the CRA has hired Special Voting Rights Counsel. Our working group hasn't voted yet on whether to recommend that we do the same, but it does appear to be a common practice, and generally, it looks like it's generally a best practice. Commissioner Kenny is watching the state's community of interest input meetings, the ones that are designated for Los Angeles County, and she's going through them and summarizing each relevant public comment, which is great. So our demographic or mapping consultants could take her list of comments and translate them into COI maps, which are linked back to the commenters. And we could see those maps as some layer on our redistricting software.
I had a doctor's appointment this morning, so I came home for that, and then.
All right, that was Lorraine. I got one more thing to say. They have scheduled 4 total input meetings for Los Angeles County, and again, their mandate for hearings is different from ours. So that's my report for tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner Holtzman. Are there comments from the commissioners? I will note that we do have in the working, in the regular meeting portion of this, which we'll probably get to after the public hearing tonight, a report from our executive director who's going to be addressing some of the issues that you raised in your working group report.
Very good.
Thank you. Were there any other comments or questions, clarifications that any commissioners have? Okay, Co-Chair Williams.
Thank you, Co-Chair Mayeda. We'll ask Commissioner Stetcher to give us an update on the demography ad hoc working group.
Thank you. This will be relatively short. We're focusing on 2 issues right now. One is the status of the software. The other are plans for training. And briefly, LA County finally took delivery of the ESRI redistricting software on July 1st and 2nd, and they are doing all of these complicated backroom things that have to happen before they can actually let people use it. And it will be roughly the 1st of August before you and I and the public will gain access to the software. And at that time, there will be not the official data, but either there's some preliminary data available for practicing, and we're thinking about what that might entail and what's the best way to go about that. The other thing we're looking at is a schedule for training. So given that the software will appear first in August, we'll probably start the training for the commission at the beginning of August and for the public slightly thereafter. And we're developing or working with ArcBridge and with the county to make sure the training materials are available and they're available in multiple languages, and that there's fallback hand-holding or technical assistance for people who try to use the software and have difficulty. And we'll have a more detailed timeline for the software and the training to present to the commission at an upcoming meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Stetcher. Are there any questions or comments from the commission? Okay, if not, we'll have an update from the Public Outreach Working Group, and that's the lead, Commissioner Morales.
Thank you very much, Co-Chair Williams. Just a few things to update, and I'm going to ask Gayla to just fill in anything that I may have missed. I was driving when we had our meeting, so I wasn't able to take notes as well as I could have. But we are excited to announce we are going to be reaching out, making some announcements over radio to let folks know that they can join and provide public comment, both in English and Spanish. And we're working with the demography group to be able to, the ad hoc working group on demography, to be able to make sure that we're reaching out and folks understand how to use the software, to make sure that there's a translation for it. So everything that entails engaging the community in that process, we want to make sure that this, this goes as smoothly as possible, and that folks understand it very well and can use it to really put those maps together for us to consider. I'm going to pass it over to Gayla if I know I missed a few things. I apologize.
I think the other one that could be an interesting point is we're thinking about a press conference in September when you begin to have your meetings at Patriotic Hall, and it would be linked with the launch not only of the software, but maybe with the completed census incarcerated database, and linked to the continued input on communities of interest and submitted maps and all that. So we're thinking of making that an event. Commissioners would be together in person, and it could be an interesting press conference if you like that idea. I think that was mostly it then, Paula.
Yeah. Thank you, Gayla.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Morales.
All right, thank you, Gayla and Commissioner Morales. Are there any questions, clarifying questions or comments? If not, thank you so much. This closes action item number 6.
So I guess a question is, you have 5 minutes. Do you want to take a 5-minute break before you start the public hearing, or do you want to go ahead and look at the minutes to see if you might approve those at this time?
Since we've only been here for 25 minutes, let's go ahead and see if we can do the minutes. You could pull that one up. Okay, so 5A is review and take action for possible approval of the draft minutes for the June 23rd meeting, which was the combined regular meeting and public hearing in Zone D. Any clarifications, corrections, comments on those minutes? If none, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes as drafted.
So moved.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Commissioner Co-Chair Williams.
Co-Chair Williams, and second, Commissioner Stetcher.
Yes.
Let's have roll to approve those minutes. Ty?
Excuse me, Co-Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Commissioner.
Or is the motion going to be to approve both minutes?
No, just the first one.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Commissioners, please be prepared to unmute your mic and respond when your name is called. I would now take the roll. Commissioner Brian Stetcher.
It's very difficult to hear you, Ty. Can you fix your microphone? And I approve.
Are you able to hear me okay now?
No, it's still pretty muddled, but since we know what the routine is, I think we can go ahead.
Co-Chair
If you would like, I can call off the names if that would help, Ty.
Yeah. Yes,
Commissioner Stetcher was a yes. Commissioner Vento is excused. Co-Chair Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Darina Wong,
Yes.
Commissioner Jean Franklin,
Yes.
Commissioner David Holtzman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mary Kenny,
Yes.
Co-Chair Daniel Mayeda,
Yes.
Commissioner Mark Mendoza,
Move for approval.
Commissioner Apollonia Morales,
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson Obregon,
Yes.
Commissioner Priscilla Orpanella Segura,
Yes.
Commissioner Hyla Soto,
Yes.
Commissioner Saida Soto.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. The next consent item is 5B, review and take appropriate action to approve the June 28th, 2021 draft minutes. That was a public hearing in Zone I. Any corrections, clarifications, comments on those minutes?